Hey everyone, James Niggemeyer here. Thank you for tuning back into the YouTube channel. Today I want to talk about post-spawn baits, some presentations when the fish get finicky, when they've been kind of pressured throughout most of the spring, and if you live near a real popular lake like myself, Lake Fork, those fish have been worked over pretty hard. And what I mean by worked over is those fish have been spawning. They've been, in a lot of instances, in plain sight as anglers troll past these little spawning pockets and little areas where those fish are up there spawning. And so as time goes on and those fish have been up there for longer periods of time throughout the spring, as we approach the post spawn, these fish have they've really learned a lot about what to be wary of, and they've become quite spooky. And on top of that, I'm actually working a big group trip this weekend up there. One of the many blessings of living within 30 minutes of Lake Fork is that, sorry about that, I think they just started up the mower or the mulcher next door. Anyways, hopefully that noise isn't too bad, but because of the reputation that Lake Fork has as a noted big bass fishery, it draws a lot of people to the lake. And I've made a lot of friendships with a lot of the guides on the lake, and there's a particular large group coming out to spend a few days at Lake Fork, and one of the guides employed me to take out some of the anglers. I think there's gonna be like 16 guides on this trip. We don't particularly know who the clients are that we're taking out, and I've been on these trips before, and it spans the gamut from people that are very knowledgeable and understand how to catch bass to people that are beginners and they may not even know how to throw a bait caster. So I'm rigging up some spinning rods, and I wanted to go over some of the applications that I'm going to try to employ so that my clients have a good time. We catch a few fish. In the midst of the fact that the fish have been quite pressured over there at Lake Fork, there's still a bunch of fish that are up there on beds, and there's post-spawn fry garters. There's fish that have moved off the bank, and I think yesterday we even caught one that was probably pre-spawn because it was just thick, and that was a little bit off, maybe in 3 to 6 feet of water on the edge of a point and some timber. So you have a lot of different things going on, as well as there's a bunch of bluegill up there, and the bass are now chasing those little bluegill. They're small bluegill, probably young of the year from last year, and there's quite a few of them up in the bushes, up in the grass, and different things like that. And so I want to go over some of the techniques and some of the bait applications that I'm going to try to use and put in the hands of my anglers tomorrow, and we'll see what we can catch. I fished out there yesterday. The handful of bites that we did have, there were some good chunks in there, but we noticed that it had gotten tougher than it had in recent weeks. Number one, you just can't miss with a wacky rig, and when you've got bluegill up there running around and you've got the possibility of throwing around some fry garters, that's set up right there. Now this is not your traditional wacky rig. This is a weighted wacky hook. The particular one that I've got rigged up here is an Owner Ultra Head Wacky. I want to show you that so that the glare's off the package, but it's a 1/32 ounce head and a 1/0 hook. Show you that right there. It's got a little fiber weed guard, which is key for Lake Fork. You got a lot of brush, you got a lot of weeds, you got a lot of timber, and so that's going to be great so that anglers can throw it in and around that cover where those fish are going to be. We've got a 4-inch Yamamoto Senko, and this is, I believe, watermelon violet flake. It's kind of faded, had that on yesterday, but going to be able to throw that around any fish holding cover, fish it slow. One of the things I like about the weighted head is the vertical descent, and it's easier for anglers to place it. And if it's windy, if the wind tries to blow the slack in the line, this weighted head will get it to sink nearest the cover, which when the fish's strike zone is smaller, you want to be around that cover so that you can get a greater potential of hooking up with a fish. One of the things you don't think about when you come to Lake Fork is finesse type stuff, but a Ned rig like this can be really good as well. I've noticed a couple of guides have gone to this, so I've tied one on. This is a Yamamoto Ned Senko, green pumpkin. How could you miss with green pumpkin? And then I've got it rigged up on another Owner product. This is the Owner Blockhead. And it's got a Z-Lock bend in it, 1/16 ounce, 1/0. And so you could see it's a kind of a Texas rig Ned. And that's going to be great, again, for the same reasons, because of all the cover. And why the light weights, you might ask? Well, there are fry garters, like I said, so those fish are high in the water column, protecting those balls of fry that typically gravitate to the upper portion of the water column, and a real quick descent doesn't typically get as much action as something light kind of gliding through there. Not only that, but you've got bluegill, and those bluegill generally kind of sit high in the water column, especially if the sun's out. They'll kind of sit high up around any kind of cover, up around the boat docks, up around the bushes and the grass. And so you kind of want to employ as much hang time in there as you can. And 16th might be too light, might have to go to an 1/8, but wanted to show you that, got that rigged up right there. And that's a real good thing to pitch around targets again and fish it down on the bottom. Sometimes we'll catch some fish on the bottom. Yesterday, we caught some fish on creature baits. And one of the better fish was on a jig, and the other one was on the Yamamoto Nuki bug. Got it rigged here with, I think, 16-pound test gamma fluorocarbon and a 5/0 owner haymaker hook. And then, like, I believe this is a 5/16 ounce tungsten weight. I got it pegged so that the weight and bait stay together as they fall. But just a couple of things about this bait that I really like. I love the fact that it's weighted. You know, it's full of salt, so it's like a Senko. You can throw it without much weight and get it to really go a long ways. And another thing is those super, super thin legs right there got great action on the fall. And you could pitch this around any type of cover, fish it in the timber, fish it on the points. Really kind of a versatile setup. And since we got a few bites on it yesterday, I feel like it'll be a good one for tomorrow as well. Those are just some of the setups that I plan to fish. I'll probably try to throw a frog. We got a couple bites on a frog. And then I'll probably try to throw a popper type bait, like a Pop R style bait, and fish those in and around offshore. And then also, we did get a bite or two on a floating worm type setup. So your brighter colors. And this is generally good pre-spawn, but post-spawn as well. So we'll have that tied up. We'll throw those presentations around some areas that I know the fish are using, and then we'll hopefully tangle with a couple of big Lake Fork bass. That's it for now, guys. Just a quick lineup on post-spawn presentations and fish that have been pressured throughout the spring, ways to get bites when you know the fish are a little bit weary of your presentations and all the pressure. Until next time, thanks for watching and good fishing.